Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean McCormack. I'm the district attorney here in Cumberland County. Thank you for being here today as we launch the LEDI program here in Cumberland County. Pleased also to have here today Attorney General Dave Sunday, whose office runs the LEDI program, and my colleague across the mountain, Clay Maris from Perry County. I want to start off by thinking back a little bit as I was preparing to talk today about my grandfather, who was a police officer from 1925 until 1965. And I can tell you, if my grandfather was alive today, despite his 40 years of experience as a law enforcement officer, he would be in for a culture shock as to what police officers are called on to do today in their jobs. But he'd be proud. He'd be proud about how policing has evolved. Each day, police officers are the front line of societal responses to our substance use and mental health crisis that face our communities. Drug overdoses constitute Pennsylvania's most complex public safety challenge, causing a record number of deaths and directly and tangentially related involvement with the criminal justice system. And that's why we're here today. This comes at a high expense to our communities. On the demand side of this epidemic, those suffering with substance use disorder need an alternative responses that enhance treatment options and promote available support. Today, we announce a collaborative effort between the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General, the Cumberland County and Perry County District Attorney offices to develop the Cumberland and Perry County Law Enforcement Treatment Initiatives to address that demand side of the drug epidemic in an effort to reduce incarceration, improve public safety, and prevent overdose deaths. The Cumberland County Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative is a harm reduction approach that seeks to accomplish the goals of reducing criminal behavior and improving public safety by connecting individuals who have substance use disorders with treatment and other community resources. Law enforcement departments across Cumberland and Perry counties will partner with the Cumberland Perry Drug and Alcohol Commission and JFT Recovery and Veteran Support Services to connect individuals who are seeking help to leave behind the substances that have controlled their lives for far too long, and with the most appropriate services to help them move forward. For the past month, law enforcement officers across our county have received training from the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General. And I want to thank Lauren Diller for all her efforts at the Attorney General's office. She has really been the one that has spearheaded this effort on our behalf. She's been speaking with our officers on how to identify and how to refer individuals in need of treatment and how they can get involved in the LEDI program. The Cumberland Perry Drug and Alcohol Commission will conduct a screening and an assessment of individuals and their needs to determine what is the most appropriate level of care. One of our local community-based programs, JFT Recovery and Veteran Services, which is located in Cumberland County in Lemoyne, is joining this endeavor to help us to provide these services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we appreciate them partnering with us in this endeavor. While the LEDI program is new to Cumberland County, the concept of law enforcement helping individuals with substance use disorders is not new. The LEDI program will be a perfect addition to the other programs that we already have in place here in Cumberland County. Many departments in Cumberland County have already partnered with JFT Recovery Services and their Warm Handoff program. Cumberland County has long supported the idea and the concept of diversionary treatment programs and our specialty courts, and recognizing the relationship between substance use disorders and criminal activity. All of these programs have one thing in common: reducing criminal behavior, improving public safety by connecting individuals who have substance use disorders with treatment and other community resources. Bringing the Law Enforcement Treatment Initiative, LETI, to Cumberland County will add yet another important tool to our crime prevention arsenal. Substance use disorders are the root cause of a significant percentage of crime in Cumberland County. The treatment of substance use disorders is a proven crime prevention tool. The LETI program is designed to provide treatment to low-level, nonviolent offenders and is designed to provide treatment and set them on the path to be productive members of society. I often heard Attorney General Dave Sunday, when he was district attorney in York County, speak about the premise that if you get people on their feet and get them a job and get them to being productive in our society, that is the best way to reduce crime. And I wholeheartedly agree with that premise. And Attorney General Sunday, we look forward to partnering with your office in this worthwhile endeavor. It's my pleasure at this time to recognize my partner across the mountain, Clay Maris, the District Attorney of Perry County.
Good morning. First, I want to start with a few thank yous. Lauren Diller especially was tremendously instrumental in making this program happen. Without her persistence in reaching out to me, her organizational capacity, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Ms. Diller, Agent Diller, I should say. Drug and Alcohol Commission, Ms. Illa Flaver, JFT serving as our warm recovery, our warm handoff. Thank you to you as well. Chief Aaron Richards, Marysville Police Department's with us here today. Chief Richards is actually our only police chief in Perry County. We only have one municipal department. Other than that, it's all Pennsylvania State Police. So thank you to Chief Richards for being here, and certainly thank you to Pennsylvania State Police in advance for your cooperation and assistance with this program. A special thank you to District Attorney Sean McCormick. My understanding is that typically these programs, these launches take place one county at a time. The idea came up to potentially do it as a joint venture. We do share a drug and alcohol commission. We proposed the idea, and District Attorney McCormick was kind enough to, and gracious enough to allow Perry County to join this as well. So thank you, District Attorney McCormick. I think doing this in a joint way makes a lot of sense. We share not just a border, but a problem, a drug problem, one that's persisted for many, many years. It takes different forms as time goes on, but it still exists. Some folks in the room are probably aware I used to work here in Cumberland County. I was in the public defender's office for about 5 years. Matter of fact, during that time, I was the public defender representative for the treatment court team. So I can truly say that I've seen from both sides of the aisle and from both sides of the mountain the problem that exists in the drug world. And we're talking about real life impacts, lives destroyed, families torn apart. With my involvement in treatment court, I was able to see the radical transformation that folks can have participating in programs like this. Just yesterday, I was at a funeral for someone that I love dearly. Not a family member, but a friend. Actually, the mother of my best friend. Someone that, he was my best man. I was his best man, 2 different times, actually. She was in her 60s, and this was not a drug overdose situation. She had a long and a full life, but still just a level of sadness stuck with me well into last night as I was preparing some of my remarks for today. And it made me realize we can save lives with this program. We can avoid having funerals. The level of sadness yesterday pales in comparison to having a mother bury a son, a daughter, a 20-year-old, somebody with so much more to offer and so much farther to go. Patty was her name. Patty had a nephew, Tony. 3 years ago, Tony did overdose and die, having used fentanyl. I was somewhat familiar with Tony's criminal cases he has had in Perry County. I didn't handle them myself, but I knew what happened with them. He had 2 different possession charges, got probation for both, was able to white knuckle his way through probation, never went to formal treatment. About 3 weeks after he completed probation, he overdosed and died. These aren't just theoretical considerations and theoretical people we're talking about. There's people like Tony. I think Tony, had he been offered something like Letty 3.5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, he might still be alive today. In fact, I think there's a very good chance he would be. Drug overdoses are the #1 accidental killer in Pennsylvania. I think it's important to note not only the benefits to the actual participants in a program like this, but also the benefits to society at large and the community at large. Evidence shows that every dollar invested in substance abuse treatment yields over $7 in societal benefits, primarily through reduced crime and increased employment. 7 to 1. That's an unheard of amount of cost savings. In Perry County, our caseload is about 2/3 DUI cases. Our second most common case is possession of drugs. We might not have the kind of caseload that a place like Dauphin or Cumberland has, but per capita, the Letty program has a tremendous amount of potential to impact Perry County. With Letty, we intend to still hold people accountable, but to do it in a way that stops the cycle instead of feeding it. I recently saw Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice Kevin Brobson speaking, and he said we cannot incarcerate our way out of addiction. And of course he's right, and that's what we're learning, and that's what Letty's all about. But this program's aimed not at excusing, but at reducing crime. We don't have to choose between justice and compassion. It's about combining those 2 things. We can protect public safety and give people a path out of addiction. When we do that, everybody wins. Ladies and gentlemen, your next speaker is someone that does not need any introduction from me. He's the man in charge, the man most responsible for the continued existence of this program. Without further ado, please welcome Attorney General Dave Sunday.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for the leadership from District Attorneys Sean McCormick and Clay Maris. Thank you, guys. Without their leadership and forward-thinking vision to embrace initiatives like this, we wouldn't be standing here. So, I've been dealing with the opioid epidemic for a long time. So most of you know that I was a district attorney before I was the Attorney General. And I can tell you right now, and I mean this with all sincerity, that some of the greatest pain that I ever saw as a DA was sitting with parents who slowly watched their children slip away into the web of addiction. And so by the time that we see, unfortunately, an overdose death, think about everything that happened to get to that point. I mean, that's a lagging indicator of a lot of issues that happen for decades oftentimes in people's lives. And when we think about public safety, we have to remember that one of the #1 ways to keep our communities safe is to prevent things from happening in the first place. And so that's why I love initiatives like this. That's why as Attorney General, I'm so honored to support the Letty initiative. Thank you, Lauren, for all of your hard work in continuing this. And I can tell you right now that there is no way that we will get ahead of this without 2 things, and that's accountability and redemption. And what I mean by that is we have to hold people accountable. Without accountability, literally nothing else matters. And so the Letty initiative, like so many others, are ones that hold people accountable. There's things that people have to do. They don't just automatically get released, for lack of a better term. They have to follow through with programs. They have to follow through with treatment. There's things that they have to do. But I will tell you that after that accountability is over, that's where the redemption part comes in. And that's where we want people that learn these tools, can move on with their lives. I mean, one of the things, and hearing about a funeral I was sitting back thinking about the amount of parents that, I've spoken to whose children have died. And, I can't tell you just the sadness that exists, because I do know that long-term recovery does happen. It is a very, very real thing. And for those parents or children or anyone out there that's suffering from addiction, it's critical to know that you can recover. I've seen it. I've seen people in long-term recovery for decades, if not longer, their entire lives. And I think I speak for everyone in here who is either in law enforcement or a prosecutor when I tell you that our goal is to be at a place where we don't see this stuff happen anymore. I mean, that is the absolute goal for every single one of us. I mean, we've talked about heroin for so long. Everybody knows that it's now transformed into fentanyl. I mean, this is a drug that is so deadly. I mean, I know when I was a kid, and I know this certainly didn't happen to anyone in here, but if you made a mistake, you might have a hangover, right, for a day. But in today's world, a mistake by a child could literally equal death. And that's why it is so unbelievably important that when we come into contact with individuals that are suffering from addiction, that we do everything we can to help get them into treatment. Because that'll not only hopefully save their life, it'll help a family, it'll help our community, it helps our economy, it helps public safety, and it just, quite frankly, is the right thing to do. And so, I mean, I cannot tell you how honored I am to be here. Overdose deaths have gone down in the Commonwealth, but it's so important. This is a type of fight where when things are getting a little bit better, that's when you go full blast. Because, God forbid that we don't do that. We had an arrest recently that the Attorney General's office was a part of with a lot of other partners, law enforcement partners, and part of that arrest included the seizure of over 200,000 packets of fentanyl that were headed to other places all throughout Pennsylvania. And so I want you to think about that a moment. How do we keep children and how do we keep people from coming into contact with that? You have to obviously attack the supply, which is something the police officers that are in here today and prosecutors do every single day very, very well. But we also have to attack the demand. And you heard that from District Attorney McCormick, who mentioned that earlier. And I can't tell you how important that is. So for all the counties out there that are looking and saying, you know what, this initiative looks fantastic, I would love to be a part of this. Well, there's a way to do it. Reach out to the Attorney General's office, reach out to Lauren Diller from our office, and let's talk about it. I do want to say one other thing that I think is really important, and that is one of the benefits of this initiative is that it's driven locally. And that is so important because no one knows what their specific community needs more than the people on the ground. And that certainly isn't the Attorney General. That's your local police officers that are on your street. That's the individuals that are working at the nonprofits. That's the parents that are on the ground volunteering. That's your district attorneys, your local DAs that are seeing what happens in court every day. Your public defenders. That's who knows exactly what's going on in that local community. And that's an important part of this initiative and why it's been so successful. So I want you to know I'm so grateful for everyone to be here today to support this. I'm grateful for everyone behind me who has dedicated their professional lives to doing everything they can to keep people alive. And, we will continue to do everything we can every day so that parents don't have to suffer the way so many have. So thank you so much for having me, and hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, General Sunday. It's my pleasure as District Attorney here in Cumberland County to really work with some very forward-thinking police chiefs. And when the LEDI program, when I brought the idea to them that, hey, this might be a program we might get involved with, they really embrace this idea and have opened up their departments to this idea and this program. And I really want to thank those chiefs. There are a number of them here today. I want to thank you for your support. It's a forward-looking group, and it is a pleasure for me as district attorney to work with chiefs who are thinking in this way, because, as I said at the top, policing has to evolve, and this is all part of it. I want to introduce at this time the head of the Cumberland County Chiefs of Police Association, Silver Spring Township Police Chief Chris Robinstein, who is a perfect example of the type of chief that I'm talking about.
Good morning, everyone. Want to start by saying that the words that were said already hit me the most because they're recognizing the law enforcement officers, our men and women that are out there every day. A lot of these programs and initiatives and any other noun you want to call it come down, and then they kind of get dumped on our officers sometime. This is clearly not the case. I can show them, one, when it was introduced to the officers, it was introduced in a training put on by Lauren Diller of the Attorney General's office, so the state was involved. They were there from the very beginning saying, this is what it is, this is how it'll be, here's the folks that are involved. Our county is involved. Our neighboring county in Silver Spring, we butt right up against Perry County, so knowing that they're involved with us. Drug supply, drug use doesn't magically stop at our jurisdictional boundaries, so we have to be wide-looking in these and work together to stop it. So that helps us. The judges are involved. This program, and if I'm stealing somebody's thunder, I apologize, has 3 different tracks, they call it. One is self-initiated. Somebody can recognize that they have a problem and ask for help. But a lot of times they don't know where to go to ask for help. So the police are always there. They can come to us, and we can, instead of saying, boy, that sounds really horrible, I wish I could help you, we can say, right here's how we can help you. Our officers can start it with a referral. It all comes back, as has been said numerous times, to accountability. The person that is in trouble needs to recognize it and want to help, but also their family. Can you help us? How do we help? How do I help my grandchild? How do I help my son or daughter? Here's how. Here's some amazing people that go beyond my ability that will help you. The judge, the judiciary can see it in the 3rd level and say, hey, why aren't we looking at this? And then, so it's not being pushed or put on one group. It is a wide variety of folks. And it's 24/7 has been commented on. That's the other thing. There's nothing worse than having a great program and saying, well, sorry, it's 4:02 on a Friday. We'll have to wait till Monday. You talk to an officer who has done their job more than a few months, and you will talk to somebody who has given Narcan more than one time to revive a repeat person, or has had to go knock on the door in the middle of the night to make a death notification. It is one of the worst things to do, because you are on the receiving end of why, and you don't have that answer. So anytime we have programs that we can put effort behind and give to our people to help, we're out there every day, as been said, we're in the trenches, but now it's another tool that we can fight back with. Incarcerating is not the answer. Our probation and parole folks are overworked as is, so if we can get somebody to help, and the biggest one is, if we can just get someone to help, because they are doing the work. We aren't going to do it for them, and they're still held accountable if they fail in what they try to do, or if they think they're going to scam the system. So it's there. We have all these levels behind us. It's a win. My thanks to Lauren for coming out and teaching our folks, because that's the most important part. I hand them a bunch of papers. That's not going to get it done. She came in the middle of the night to our shift changes, answered the questions. She's heard more questions than she wants to admit to, I'm sure, because they'll come up with some weird ones. Yeah, but. And she answered them all. So that, for us, from the law enforcement end, we thank the folks that are putting this together. We're excited to get started with it, and we only see good things coming out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, I talked about how this is a partnership, and Chief Robinstein was just talking about that. And one of the big partners, actually 2 partners involved in this, is the Cumberland Perry Drug and Alcohol Commission and JFT Recovery and Veteran Services. At this time, I'd like to introduce Brenda Iliff, who is the head of the Cumberland Perry, always trip over that, the Cumberland Perry Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I've got an inconvenient truth for you, which you've just heard from all these gentlemen so far, that we are a nation that's been plagued by addiction. Our health systems are overwhelmed, our emergency services are overwhelmed, our criminal justice system is overwhelmed, but even more importantly, our families and individual people are overwhelmed. The cost and pain of addiction is astonishing. At the Cumberland and Perry County Drug and Alcohol Commission, we're beyond happy to partner with our county's DA offices and the state attorney general and our police officers to provide timely and critical intervention to people who struggle with addiction to alcohol and other drugs. Timely and critical. Some people only have one phone call in them, and we want to be there to answer that phone. In fact, with this program, even if you don't have one phone call in you, the officers will pick up the phone and get us connected so that we can be there in a timely and critical time frame. We want to meet people where they are and when they're most vulnerable and open to help. I sometimes tell clients, our job is to get you out of the system. You're going to have to do some work with us to do it, but our job ultimately is to get people out of the system and on to becoming happy and community citizens. Letty provides a connection of people to a pathway out of addiction through easy access to support and services. Easy access to ask for help is the heartbeat of the Letty program. From the chaos of the pain of addiction to just a simple call for help, it can be that simple. We'll take it from there for those willing to seek help. In fact, there's many points of intervention, as the chief spoke about, where if people are willing, we can jump in and try to help them. Letty provides this avenue out of the pain of addiction to provide community members who live in hope of a new life. For many, their new life starts with that Letty phone call. Another layer of opportunity that supports people who are struggling and helps reduce the stigma of addiction. It's okay to reach out and to ask for help and to know that somebody on the other end gets it. I'm really pleased to introduce our community partners, JFT. They're the people that go out to our hospitals when those overdoses happen and meet with people, and they hire people that are called certified recovery specialists. Those are people who can say, I know, I've been there. So Steve from JFT, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Again, I'm Steve with Director of JFT Recovery and Veteran Support Services. We are located, as was said, in Lemoyne. We've been there for 10 years, I guess, with our center and our services that we do there. Before I get started, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. You know, Brenda for coming and approaching us, the Attorney General's office, the DA's office. You know, these conversations have been going on for a while, you know, for this program. And I'm grateful and honored, you know, to be part of that. JFT was formed and put together to fill the gaps out there in the system. I'm a recovering person myself and worked in the field now for over 20 years. And the reason JFT was developed and we brought that, again, there's just holes in that system, okay? And we came from an old system from years ago, and then when the opioid epidemic hit, you know, some years ago, and we all remember that with all the deaths. And I agree with Attorney General, some of the hardest conversations and the hardest things is working with families and grandparents that are raising their children now, or their grandchildren now, and losing people. It was to a point where I can remember attending two funerals a day, you know, and that changed how we look at things. And again, and that fits right into what JFT wants to do. We want to fill those gaps, so we're honored to be part of this. As Brenda was saying, JFT does the warm handoff program in Cumberland County and along with Dauphin County also. And between the two, it's over 100, usually averaging people a month that we get to treatment, or at least give that opportunity to get to treatment and get help. And a program like this would be tremendous, you know, to help along that way and have that support. Some of these people in the room, I can remember Attorney General, it was the DA in York, and the town halls that were held back then. And he's been saying the same things for all these years. So again, I feel real confident that this is moving forward and happening. So again, good to be part of that. We perform, again, the support. I think the most what we would be to help with this will be that support. Once that person does work his or her way through the system, you know, whether it's the court system, obviously the court system, the treatment system and all that, we can still be there 7 days a week to provide that service, that support. You know, Brenda talked about the certified recovery specialist, a peer basically to work either one-on-one or just if somebody needs somebody to talk to. That's what we do. And I think it's a really good fit for that. So again, and I think this will really, I got to throw it in here with Memorial Day coming up here this weekend. Our veterans suffer big from this, between PTSD and then what that leads to, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or just that, you know, the legal system. And I can see this helping tremendously, you know, with the veterans that we see in our program in Cummins. So we're grateful for that also. So to give that. Again, we're honored to be part of this. I don't know, some in the room will remember a few years ago, there was a pilot program in Cumberland County. We named it the police diversion, you know, because we didn't have any other name for it. But and it was very similar to what this was. Again, it was a short pilot program, and working with, you know, the DA's office, the local judges. We're local in the local police departments. I think there were 6 police departments that were participated in that. And the results we saw for that were tremendous. And those that you might have helped, you may have dropped somebody off at the center for us to take care of and all that. There are some success stories with some of those that came through that and does that. And it was a real good program. We were really sorry to see that go away. Again, it was a pilot program, and we're excited to have this now to continue that in a lot of the same ways. And again, we look forward to being part of this and working with all the partners. Thank you.
It's my pleasure at this time to introduce Megan Zabinski. She might be, and I know you were nervous, so I'm going to make you even more nervous. She might be the most important voice you hear here today. Megan is someone that is currently a certified recovery specialist who works with our specialty courts, our treatment courts, to help people move beyond, like I said before, the grip that these substances have on their lives. And she is someone who was in that grip and has been able to move past that and now is giving back in her position as a certified recovery specialist. So Megan, the floor is yours.
I'm extremely nervous, so bear with me. Hi everyone, my name is Megan Zabinski, and I am a woman in long-term recovery. I grew up in New Cumberland, Pennsylvania with my sister, brother, and my parents. I still reside in New Cumberland in my own home with my amazing husband, Zachary Bachman, who is also in long-term recovery. I had a great childhood, but things started to get bad once I hit my 20s. Soon I would have the worst but best day of my life. May 23rd, 2018 is the day that I may not have known it at the time, but the day that changed the rest of my life. I was arrested from committing a crime that stemmed from my drug addiction. My life was so out of control and no one really knew it but myself. I was in a dark place and I was scared. I was stealing, not to support my habit, but because my mental state was so out of control. My arrest was my cry for help. As much as I hated it at the time, I'm so thankful it happened. I honestly believe had I not been arrested, I may not be alive today. I will never forget the female officer that arrested me in Camp Hill. I feel like she was my guardian angel. I went to Cumberland County Prison for 2 months exactly and was lucky enough to get in what used to be called as the Opiate Intervention Court program with Cumberland County. These 2 months were by far the worst detox I have ever experienced in my life. I had attempted to get clean many times, but it never stuck. I hated it so much. I cried all the time wanting to get out so I could just go out to use and feel better. I had only been in there for a week or two, and had I gotten out at that point, I definitely would have went out and used. Even being out within that week or two, just that little bit of time is enough for someone to relapse and overdose. And then, like I said, I may not be here today. So I'm very thankful for being in the prison for that amount of time. As much as prison sucks, I needed that, both mentally and physically. So then on July 23rd, 2018, I was released and entered into OIC. I had the support of a great team, including many awesome people like Judge Brubaker, my certified recovery specialist, Krista Page, and Criminal Justice Services Director, Aaron Gardner, who today has become one of my best friends. Little did I know back then that these powerful women would become close friends of mine and will allow me to be a part of this very team that helped me. The team was made up of a variety of professionals that I'm thankful for each and every one of them. It makes me smile every time I think of these days, going to court every single morning for 6 weeks straight to a couple times a week for a few months. But creating my criminal justice system's family, which isn't something you would think of hearing in the same sentence. Criminal justice system and becoming part of my family, but they became that and are that. The program allowed me to make my mistakes and still have the support to get right back on track to get a great future. I will never forget the one day when things got really bad. Paul Polinsky had reached out to my parents because I was spiraling again, so they had called me. My parents mean the world to me. So with all that support and love, I knew I needed to get back to the team and get that support that they had providing the whole time, which I did. They held me accountable for my mistake and put me in CCP for another 10 days, but not without providing me support and a plan to get back to where I needed to. I continued my outpatient program at PA Counseling, and I went back to court reporting. I needed that accountability, I needed that support, and I also needed to feel loved, all of which I definitely felt. I never thought the criminal justice system would be something I would promote a long time, along with helping people in recovery. It was always them versus us criminals. Not anymore with Cumberland County. Today I am part of the Overdose Intervention Court team as well as the Tom's Mental Health Court team. I never in a million years thought I would be in this job or even working in this field as a certified recovery specialist. Maybe something I had dreamed of once I got clean, but certainly not something obtainable. Today I love my job. I love that I'm a part of the team that helped save my life. I love that I get to help people who are just like me get to be where I am, which is happy and successful. I continue to do individual counseling and work my recovery program. Unfortunately, we will always have people who will judge us as recovering addicts, but that's a them problem. I am proud of who I am. I am proud that I can say I work with the specialty courts in Cumberland County. I am proud that I have members of the legal side of the world. Speaking of which, I have an amazing brother-in-law who is a DA out in California. And to hear him and my family say they are so proud of me since changing my life around was one of the best moments in my life. Just to hear my family be proud of me, not embarrassed of me, is the best feeling in the world. I will forever be grateful for that arrest on May 23rd, 2018, in the specialty court in Cumberland County for helping me get my life back. Every day I wake up, I have my me time, and I never forget where I came from, who helped me get where I am, and how amazing my life is now. We don't grow up hoping to struggle with addiction, but we all hope to be happy and successful. Everyone needs help at one point of their life, and it doesn't have to be us versus the system. So let's keep working together to help each other. I think the LETI program is an amazing opportunity and is going to continue to make a difference on the lives of those struggling with addiction. My name is Megan Zabinski, a certified recovery specialist and soon-to-be certified peer support specialist, who is proud to say I am in long-term recovery with the help of Cumberland County Specialty Court. Thank you for letting me take a few minutes of your time to share my success story of hope and strength.
I told you she was going to be good. I want to just, in closing here, recognize a few other people. Aaron Gardner, who's heads our so many of our specialty things that we do in court, and her staff. They work with our judges to run our specialty courts. Darby Chrislieb, who's our Chief Probation Officer, Judge Jessica Brubaker, who is amazing and who has really embraced the specialty court model and is really always helping to evolve it. And also Commissioner Jean Foschi from our County Board of Commissioners. And finally, my very good friend who's standing and hiding in the back of the room, District Attorney Fran Chardo from Dauphin County. Dauphin County embraced this program a number of years ago. And Fran, I got to tell you, you know I'm a very competitive person, so I'm going to be striving to make our LEDI program more successful than your program. I think in a competition like this, the people that win are our communities, because the lives that are saved through the LEDI program is really what the bottom line is. So I want to thank you all for being here and for covering this announcement today. And from now forward, the LEDI program is open here in Cumberland County, and I hope at some point in the future to report to you just how successful things are going. Thank you.
A little tight back here. Definitely not ideal.
Drug overdoses constitute Pennsylvania's most complex public safety challenge, causing a record number of deaths and directly and tangentially related involvement with the criminal justice system. And that's why we're here today. This comes at a high expense to our communities. On the Perry counties will partner with the Cumberland and Perry Drug